Hi, welcome to my video on the Hatsan gladius. I'm doing a review because the majority of the reviews in the UK are pretty naff. This one is going to be a bit more in-depth. It seems to be that when I bought this off of a friend of mine, it had a few issues. Sloppy on the pull back. It was really not bad. Yeah, this is terrible now, but considering it was going up and down like that, horrendous. The workmanship of the Gladius, as far as I'm concerned, it was nowhere near up to scratch. That it should never have left the factory, let alone reach Edgar Brothers. And Edgar Brothers should never have sold it to my friend to start with. It's absolutely terrible. Shoots nice now, but for the price, should never have been on sale. I advise anyone who's buying one of these to actually try it out first, the one they're actually going to buy, not one in the shop, because you never know if you're actually getting the one that you've tried. The power on these is pretty poor. Mine was running at 10.06 foot-pounds on AccuPals 7.9, which was only putting out around about 745 feet per second, which it's horrendous really for a 7.9. So I decided I wanted to up the power. Now, every time you go on a website, they always say to you, you need a 4mm long Allen key, like this one, and you need to go through the back there. Now you have to excuse me, I'm on my iPad, my camera has died on me. So, to get that to go in there, in the UK, that's what you come across. The anti-tamper. Now, to remove the anti-tamper, I asked the question, how do you remove the anti-tamper on a Hatsan gladius? And every time I asked it, I got shot down in flames, saying, you can't remove the anti-tamper, you're in the UK, you're breaking the law. No, we're not breaking the law. All we're doing is trying to repair our own firearms. Well, not firearms, our air rifles. They're not firearms. They're only firearms if you go over 12 foot-pounds. Now, as long as you stay under that, you're fine. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an insight on how I done it. I literally said to myself, it's shit or bust. The rifle is a piece of shit. If I damage it any further than what it is, I've only wasted 400 quid. A lot of money, I know, to some people, a lot of money to me, but I could not carry on trying to fire this thing when it was running so crap. So, you take the cheek piece off, which is on the other side, you literally take it off, and on the top of the block, you will find there's a hole, 7.2mm in diameter, and down inside there is a anti-tamper screw. I'll show you a picture of it that I've drawn there. What you are going to do is you are going to have to take that head off, but you can't do it with a normal drill because there's a little tiny break off pin, and that will stop you from drilling at the centre. To get rid of that, you will need one of these, either an M6 or an M5, 57mm long, because that, the head is 32mm down inside. It literally is 1 inch long, 25mm long, and that's what you need to replace it. A T20 star head, anti-tamper, 25mm long screw. Get them off eBay, 20-30p for 2 or 3 of them. At the bottom of this handy tamper there is no thread, because that thread sits into that hole. That is your anti-tamper pin. That is what is at the back of here, and it goes across into there and it sits about there. That screw goes right the way down and sits inside that hole. That's what's stopping you. So you can't drill it out with a normal drill, so I used my little milling machine. If you haven't got a milling machine, I would suggest using the pillar drill, but doing it very carefully, because you have to do it minuscule amounts at a time. The head is only 2, maybe 3 millimeters thick, so it's just a touch until you feel the head go. Once the head is gone, turn it upside down, take the head out, and then get yourself a 2.5 millimeter Allen key, and inside where the 10 magazine goes, there's another one in there. Just undo that with your 2.5mm Allen key. Remove the air tank. You should remove the stock. It's only 2 screws, and then that just falls away. Once you've taken that air tank off and that's come out, the thread is left in there. Don't worry about it, because once the head comes off, that will lift. That whole unit will lift with the barrel, and you will find you're left with your main block with the hammer and all the workings inside there, and a screw that's protruding there. That just lifts off, but be very careful. There are parts underneath here that you do it gently enough and then tip it over, you'll see where they go. They are to do with the recycling on the magazine. So when you cock it, that adjusts and then it just turns the magazine. But it's only 2 parts and it's so simple, you don't have to worry too much about it. Just do it very gently, turn it over. That screw then just comes out, literally comes out, and that pin will just slide back. Once you've slid the pin back and you've got your replacement, you can put it back together. That's out, that's done, that's all you need to do. If you wanted to take all this apart and polish all the parts inside, which is what I did, it took me 2 or 3 hours, but it's so simple. Once that is out, and you undo the nut that's at the bottom behind the trigger, that black part comes out, the spring just comes out. It's not under any tension, not a great deal of tension, you literally just push it in with your finger. There's a huge spring here, but it's about that long, about that fat, but it's very, very thin, and it's very, twiny, and all that does is just pushes the hammer back into its original position once it's hit. Just undo these screws. There's nothing to worry about. You're not losing anything. Just do them gently. Your anti-tamper is now removed, so you can put it all back together. That screw there, you can either get yourself, like I said, 25mm long one to actually put your anti-tamper back in, or you can buy a 12mm and you can put it back in there and leave your anti-tamper out, because a 12mm will not stop the Allen key going in there. It goes in and sits inside the black box at the top. There's a little tiny nut in there, and that's what holds it together. So you can either buy a 12mm, leave the anti-tamper out, or you can buy a 25mm, put the anti-tamper back. It's as simple as that. It's not difficult, it's not rocket science, and they will charge you the earth to send yours back to get the power put back up. Hope this helps. Oh, by the way, when you use this, and you put it in, most of the time you would screw it clockwise. But with this rifle, you have to screw it anti-clockwise. By screwing it anti-clockwise, inside here is a great big 8mm grub screw. That grub screw pulls back. As it pulls back, it tensions against a spring that's in here. And as it pulls against that spring, that's what pushes the hammer back. So, to put the power up, and anti-clockwise. To put the power down, clockwise. So it's always the opposite to what you're really thinking. There will be another video. If anyone wants to see this video, the next one, just leave me a message and I will actually take this rifle apart and I will show you exactly how it's done. This one is now shooting at 11.7 foot-pounds with AccuPows, and the trigger is still like a brick wall, but that will be the next thing I will show you, how to lighten up a bit, because all the linkages on it is unbelievable. Triggers there, you've got an arm that pulls up to there, and then you've got a pivot that does that, which as you pull that trigger, it pulls it one way, and then this side will push that way, and you've got another linkage that goes back to where the trigger is here, and it pushes the trigger. It is such a crap setup that Hatsan, of a company of their nature, should have designed something so really poor. I would have thought that they would have at least had the trigger so that it would push that way, and then even if they had had a bar that went through there, cranked around the actual screw that holds the stock on, so that it would do this, a solid bar, and then push the trigger. No, they had to use 8 pieces to make that instead of just one. It's horrendous. Out of 10 for workmanship, I would give it a 6. Out of 10 for shooting, I would give it an 8. Out of 10 for the trigger setup, I would give it a 3. It has really been thrown together by Hatsan to try and get into the bullpup market, and if they'd only thought about it for another month or two on their design, they would have succeeded in selling a lot more and making a lot more money out of these. Thanks for watching my video. If you'd like to see the one where it is being stripped, just email me and I will do one for that. Thank you very much.